Hello everyone. So this is going to be the third video of Apache Zookeeper series, and in this video we are going to see the cluster setup of Apache Zookeeper. So this video is going to be divided into four parts. So first part we are going to cover about the leader election. In the second part we are seeing quorum, and after that we are going to see the designing part of this cluster setup and good to cover the point that we missed in our last video about the tick time, sync time, and lit time. And after that we are going to move on our coding part. So now let's move to our notepad, and like there is something that I wanted to say. This video is going to be a little long, so please be focused for the whole video. Let's see. So in the previous video we saw about the single server setup of Zookeeper, but now we are going to see about the multi-server setup. So first of all, let's understand that why we need a multi-server setup. So simple answer is that we need our system to be highly available. So when there are going to be multiple servers, so if one server goes down, still there are going to be another servers running, and they can handle the load and they can respond to the particular APIs and they can perform some action. Now let's understand that there are some problems occur at the time when there are multiple servers running. So the major problem that we see is data inconsistency. So suppose let's take an example that there are two servers, server A and server B, and at the same time the two requests are going to come. On one request lands on server A and another request lands on server B. So what will happen in that scenario? There is a inconsistency occur at that time, like which request we should take. So let's see how Zookeeper solved that problem with the help of the leader election. So let's see. So now let's understand the leader election part. So this leader election process consists of one protocol named Zookeeper Atomic Broadcast. So we have to understand that protocol, and by the end of it, you will able to understand the leader election. So it consists of four states. So first state is going to be our looking, second is voting, third is comparison, and fourth one is our election. So now let's understand it with an example. So suppose there are three servers, server 1, server 2, and server 3. So what will happen when all the Zookeeper servers are started? What they will do, they are going to be in our looking state. So first step is all the three servers are in our looking state right now. Second step is voting. What will all the servers will do? After the looking state, these servers will create one ID name as ZXID. Okay, or you can say some sort of an ID that they will generate. And another thing that they are going to generate is our epoch time. Epoch time is a time at which the server is started or any other random time then on which they are going to generate this ZXID. So let me just make a table for you, and let me just calculate it something like this: server 1, server 2, and server 3. And now what we are going to do, this is ZXID, any random number that we can take. Suppose we take for the server 1 is going to be 100, for server 2 it can be 120, and for server 3 it is going to be 90. Now comes to our epoch time. Epoch time can be anything, any random number, but let's consider it 1, 1, and 2. So epoch time is same for server 1 and server 2, but for server 3 it is going to be 2 right now. So what will happen? So we have done our voting part and our looking part. Now what will happen? After that, there is going to be a comparison state. In the comparison state, what will happen? In that scenario, when the server 1 is going to send this data of ZXID epoch time to another server. So server 1, server 2, and server 3. Server will just send this data to all the other servers. Okay, so and it will say that my ZXID is 100 and my epoch time is 1. Server 2 will send this data to server 1 that my ID is 120 and 1, and same the server 3 will do. So now what will happen? Everyone has the data about it. So and then what will happen? The comparison will happen that who has the biggest ZXID and who have the biggest epoch time. In that scenario, we can simply see that the server 2 has the biggest ZXID, that is 120. So our server 2 will simply become the leader. So that is our forced, the election will happen, the comparison will happen, and after that we can say the server 2 will become the leader because server 2 has the biggest ZXID. Now takes one more scenario somehow, because let's take a scenario when there are many servers and suppose server 1 and server 2 and server 3 randomly generated the same ZX ID. So what will happen? The comparison will happen now on the basis of the epoch time. So which one has the biggest epoch time? So let's take an example for that. So suppose there is one more server now, server 4, that has the ZX ID similar to 120, but epoch time is 3. So in that scenario, what will happen? Our new leader is going to be server 4, because at the time when the ZX ID was chosen, the ZX ID is going to be 120. ZX ID is going to be same for server 2 and server 4, but the epoch time is 3 for server 4. So server 4 will become the leader in that scenario. Now there is one more scenario can occur when ZX ID and epoch time both are same. So like there is a scenario like the server 2, the epoch time is going to be 124, and for the server 5 considering, like there is a epoch time 120 and 4. So what will happen in this scenario? So there is a tie between both the servers in that scenario. So there is some random mechanism will work, and after that one will become a leader. So what is the benefit of having a leader? So let's take an example. So suppose there are one server 1, server 2 and server 3. So what will happen? Suppose server 1 will become the leader. Server 2 will automatically become a follower. Server 3 will automatically become a follower. Now, the properties of the followers are that they will perform all the read operations, and the leader, it means the server 1 will perform all the write operations. So suppose that if a write request lights on the server 1, the server 1 will simply write it on a Zookeeper server, and that it will broadcast it to server 2 and the server 3. Now, so what happens if the write request lands on the server 2? Server 2 will pass it to server 1. In that scenario, server 1 will again write it and then broadcast it to all the other servers, server 2 and the server 3. And server 2 and server 3 are responsible for doing all the read operations. What will happen in our scenario? Like if the server 2 goes down, then everything works fine because there are still 2 servers are running. But what happens if server 1 goes down? It means leader is down right now. In that scenario, the leader election will take again, and now there can be a chances that server 2 or server 3, any one of them will become one more leader. Now let's move to the part of quorum. So now let's understand the quorum. So quorum means majority. So previously when we were studying about the leader election, we see that we take the example of the 3 servers. So in the quorum, what will happen? Suppose if there are 3 servers are running right now, so we need a majority to perform an action. So suppose for in the cases there are 3 servers, the majority number is going to be 2. How we are going to calculate the majority? Majority is going to be more than 50%. So suppose if there are 5 servers are running right now in our scenario, so the majority is going to be 3. That is going to be n plus 1 by 2. Okay, so like if there are 7 servers running right now, the majority is going to be 4. So it means that whenever there is a scenario that 4 of the followers or a leader, the 4 of the servers are going to agree with anything, that becomes a quorum and a majority, and then action are going to be performed. Let's take an example and understand it. Suppose there are server 1, server 2, server 3, server 4, and server 5. So let's take an example when there is going to be a write operation on server 1. So what will happen? If it is going to be acknowledged by any more than 50% of the servers, then it will be marked as a write operation. It will marked as a successful write operation. So that is what quorum stands for. So this is something that Zookeeper use in it and maintain the consistency in the system. So now let's understand the multi-node setup. So this is something that we are going to code at the end of our video. So now let's understand it. Now I created the 3 servers, server 1, server 2 and server 3, and I also mentioned some ID1, ID2 and ID3 inside them. So it means that there are 3 servers are running and they are also connected with the some client. In our previous video, what we saw that only server 1 is going to communicate with the client on the port 2181. Okay, with these some commands that I already show you in our previous video. But now in this diagram, can you see that there are 3 servers are running and all the 3 servers are connecting with the client with on the different port 2181, 2182, and 2183. So the client is connecting with all the three servers on the different port 2181, 2182, 2183. Why I mentioned it on the different port? They can be on the single port as well, but if they are in the different machines. But right now, when I'm going to teach you in our code part, so they are going to run on our different port. So let's move forward about it. So when they are on the different ports, the client has a property so that it can connect with all the three servers that we are seeing right now. After that, you can also see that server 1, server 2, and server 3 are also communicating. That we also saw in the part of the quorum that what I told you that server 1 will also push the data to server 2, that can we write it server, and in the server 3 as well, that can we write it, and when there is a majority, then only the write operation can perform. Similarly, the same thing that we saw in our comparison part, that there is a vote. When the voting is going to happen, the data is going to be transferred to the other servers as well that can be perform the election. So it means that all the three servers are communicating right now. Server 1 is going to communicate with server 2, and server 2 is going to communicate with server 3, server 3 is going to communicate with server 1, and so forth. So now how this communication will happen? So internally, can you see that there is some sort of port that I've written on the left hand side? So there is 2888, 2889, and 2890. So on the 2888 means that server 1 internally is running on 2888. Server 2 internally running on 2889. I will write it here, 2888. And the server 3 is running on 2890. And for the communication purpose, server 1 has opened one port 3888. So by which when server 1 opened that port 3888, so that this 2889 port of server 2 can communicate with this 3888 port of server 1. So it is an open port by the server 1 so that other servers can communicate with it. Similarly, there is one open port of 3889 that server 2 has opened so that other servers can communicate with it. So they also form a TCP connection inside them, and they can also form a communication. And this is something that we are going to see by the end of this video when we are doing some coding. Now let's move to our fourth topic that we missed in our last video about the init time, tick time, and our sync time. So now let's understand them. So init time, as we see that there are multiple servers running in our Zookeeper cluster. So what happened that if one becomes a leader and two becomes the followers, so what will happen? It says that when one become a leader, the other two followers has to get initialized and get in touch with that particular leader in some particular time. That is known as init time. So suppose that server 1 is a leader and server 2 and server 3 are the followers. 1 is leader, 2 and the 3 are the followers right now. So 2 and 3 had to communicate with server 1 in some particular time. If they are not able to make the connection, so they are not going to be part of that particular Zookeeper cluster. Okay, so that connection is going to be formed in some particular time. Okay, so that is a maximum amount of time that these followers have to make a connection with the server 1 or our leader. Now let's understand the sync time. So suppose in the sync time that we can take the same example 2 and server 3. What will happen whenever there are multiple write operations perform on our server 1? So like there are multiple write operations performing on our server 1. Server 2 and server 3 had to come in the sync with the server 1. So suppose we set the value of sync time as like 1 second. So what will happen? It says that is the server 2 and server 3 had to reach that particular state in which the server 1 is right now. So there should be a connection, and this is the max amount of time server 2 and server 3 had to make the or manage the state with server 1 or with our leader. So now let's understand the tick time. Tick time is a very simple concept. It's just a multiplier number, or we can just simply say it's a multiplier. So let's take an example. The value is going to be 4000 right now. Or we can just simply take they can just simply take a 4000 value. So what will happen right now if we take the value of the sync time? Sync time is just a number. So what will happen? Sync time value is going to become 1 into 4000. That is going to be 4000 milliseconds. That is going to be 4 seconds in our scenario. So it means that if we keep the value of our tick time 4000, so sync time value will become the 4 second, and sync time says that in 4 seconds server 2 and server 3 had to be in sync with server 1 or with our leader. With the init time, like we can just take the value 2 right now. So again, it will act, tick time will act as a multiplier. So value will become 2 into 4000. That is going to be 8000 millisecond. That is 8 seconds. So it means for the first time when the connection is going to be made between the leaders and the follower. So server 2 and server 3 had 8 seconds to make our first connection. So this is our concept. Now let's move to our coding part. There we are going to see how we can develop the clustered setup of Zookeeper. So in the previous video, we saw that this zkserver.sh is going to communicate with the zoo.config file that is here right now. But now we are going to do a multi-server setup. So in that scenario, we have to create the multiple configs and the multiple data folder that I'm going to just explain you. So what we are going to do first, so first of all, let's create some config folder that is going to be config1, and the folder config2, and the folder config3. And now we are going to made another folders named data1, data2, data3. So now let's focus on our config folders. So as in our config, this is our normal config folder that is created here. So as you can see that it is running on our client port 2181. So what we're going to do, we are just going to copy this file from the like config folder to config1, config2, and the config3. And as I mentioned that these are working on the different ports. So like in our scenario, the config 1 is going to work on the 2181, config 2 is going to work on the 2182, config 3 is going to work on the 2183. So these are our servers on which, these are the client ports on which our servers are running. As you can all see that my data directory field is empty right now. Okay, so previously in our first video when we see that it was written that temp/zookeeper. So it means that the data is going to store in that particular folder. So what is going to happen right now? We are just going to give it the location of our these folders that I've created, data1, data2, and data3. So let me just do it. pwd. I got the path and I'm going to pass here. Then this is data3 because this is 2183 and config. Let me pass it to config2 and let me pass it to config1 as well. I did some mistake. We have to pass data2. We have to pass data3. So our third step is done. So first of all, what we have done, we have created some folders, config1, config2, and config3. We have copy pasted that file of zoo.config. We have changed the client ports and we have created the folders of data1, data2, and data3 for storing our data logs. Now, what we are going to do in our data1, data2, and data3 folders, we are going to make one file of my ID. So let's create it. My ID, and my ID. The value that we are going to pass is 1. In the data2, we are going to pass 2. In data3, we are going to pass 3. Okay, so I mistyped here as well. Yeah, and it looks fine. So we have done all our folder work. So we came to know that why we have done this my ID thing, because so that when we are going to run our Zookeeper servers on the terminal, then what will happen in that scenario, we can see then what are the names of our servers. So this my ID will help us to know the name of the server so that we can understand better. So now let's move to the last part of this configuration. So this is the main config, zoo.config. So what we have to do, we have to just remove all the things. And here what we'll do, we are going to pass server.1, server.2, server.3. And as I already mentioned in our notes that these Zookeeper configs or Zookeeper servers are going to communicate. So we have to make something like this: localhost 2888 3888. Okay, so this is something that we have to do. After that, we have to do 2889 3889, and for the server 2 and for the server 3 2890 3890. So what will happen? So now when we pass this configuration, and this configuration, we are going to pass this configuration in the other config folder as well, so that they can make a communication with each other. So let me just pass it server 1 and the configuration 2 as well, and the configuration 3 as well. So I guess we are done, but I just missed one my ID in our data one folder, and I think we are good to go. So now what we are going to say, I open the 4 terminals right now. In the 3 of them, we are going to run the servers, and in the one server, we are going to see the clients and see how all of them are going to react and how all of them are connected. So let's see. So first of all, for running the Zookeeper server, we know the command /bin/z zk server and this time .sh. Then we have to pass our config one slash zoo.config zoo.cfg, and it's saying, oh yeah, I missed one thing, that is our start for ground. And as you can see, the server 1 is running, but you can see that the quorum pair, the my ID is 1, and it is running on the port 2181. Moving forward, now we are going to run the same thing on our config folder 2. Let's do it. So now you can see there is one connection refused. Still, it is running on the 2181. It is running on the 2182. We got one error. Now what we are going to do, we are going to run it on the configuration 3. As now you can see, the quorum is completed. All the 3 of them are now connected. Now moving forward, so like last time what we did, we disconnected one server with our client, but this time there is a little difference in our query or in our syntax. So now we are going to connect these 3 servers. So that is going to be like /bin/zkcli dot sh dash server. Last time it is going to be localhost 2181. But this time it is going to be localhost 2182, localhost 2183. Okay, so this time what happened, all 3 of them had made a connection with our client. So now this is going to be the last part of this video, and now let's see who is the leader in all the 3 servers. So what will I do? We'll just open one more terminal here. So I will open it into the center. So now I will just show you the leader. So what we're going to do, we're just going to say .bin/zk server dot asset. We're going to say status of /conf172.config, and this see it is showing me follower. In the last video when we studied this topic, it was showing me standalone because only one server was running at that moment, but now there are 3 servers. So now we know that the config one, our server 1 is our follower right now, because it is showing me it is a follower. Now let's move to our config 2. Now let's see it is showing me that it's a leader. Okay, and now we will see that config 3, it is again going to show me it is a follower. So now we are able to make a whole setup where there are 3 servers are running and they are communicating with a client. So this is it for the video. And in the next video, you are going to see about the Zookeeper data modeling, and that is going to be the most important video of this whole Zookeeper series, because there you are going to be seeing some commands of the Zookeeper clients and going to understand some of the most important concepts. Okay, thank you so much and bye bye.